he was just crazy in the neighborhood. And so he said, well, come on, get on the little courtesy car here. We're going to take you to your ward. So, you know, the good book says, you know, my father's house has many mansions. So they come along and they stop at the first place, and this is Joe's. Beautiful lawn, marble walls, clean crystal glass, huge mansion. This is, wow. Joe's getting this kind of reward. I can imagine. Viral. They pull up in front of this, you know, little bungalow. And he says, wait. What's this? What's left? And so St. Peter kind of, that was Joe's reward. And this is what I spent all these years serving people and stuff. And he says, now, wait. Let's look at the 104A. Look at the results worksheet here. You know, when Joe flies, every time he lands, he can get 300 people to pray and beg for mercy. You've never been able to do that with any of your systems. So, okay. What does that have to do with Gail Halvorsen? Absolutely nothing. So,
but it filled in the time we needed for me.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. So, okay, my goal is to march you through a couple of things here about Gail, about the Halvorsen Foundation, and then I'll talk about some tips about how a squadron can become self-supporting. Okay? All right. So we're just going to pump right on through. I'll tell you the story real quick. This is the overview of about where we're going. Okay. Next slide. Okay. So basically, Gail Halvorsen, international hero with local roots. Okay. It doesn't get more in Utah than somebody who grew up on a farm in Garland, Utah, up by Tremont, hauling beans. Okay. And so this is, it starts out as a Utah story. And I don't know if you can see, here's this classic Gail Halvorsen smile. Gail is a great lover of the outdoors, and we'll talk more about that. As Baron and I allude, as we were talking this morning, Gail received his private pilot training through the civilian pilot training program. He won, kind of off the street, he won a competitive scholarship and government funded training. Anybody else see that? Okay. Goes on active duty during World War II. Because he had already learned how to fly, they sent him to do some of his flight training with the Royal Air Force. I just turned it off.
What is that?
That's my phone.
Oh, I didn't know I was on your coat. It's like I don't have a ringtone like that.
Whoever it is, it's not important. Okay. So trained with the Royal Air Force, he thought he was going to go be flying P-51s. And one of his friends actually was selected for the P-51 track, and becomes part of the story down later. But he was the honor grad in his flight class with the Royal Air Force. Once the uniform is just a little different here. So next slide. So he serves during World War II, stays with the Air Force, is flying heavy transport kind of stuff. Soviets cut off Berlin by ground access. The only way that they could get stuff into Berlin was to fly it in. And the Soviets didn't think that the Americans and the British could do that. During Battle of Stalingrad, the Russians cut off the German Sixth Army, 200,000 soldiers, just outside of Stalingrad. And Hermann Göring, the German Air Force chief, boasted, I can supply our soldiers by air. Well, they starved and had to surrender to Germany. So the Russians didn't think that we would be able to supply a city of 2.5 million by air. But the U.S. Air Force and its allies, the British Air Force, a little bit of the French, were able to keep this city supplied. Gail was part of that. I think we all know about that. We know the candy bomber piece, okay? And basically this was a result of an encounter that he had with some kids at a fence outside of Temple Hawkins. Okay. That's Gail with, so he signed this, but helping plan what became Operation Little Vittles. The larger operation was Operation Vittles, and that was bringing the food and the fuel to support the land. Gail's piece, 23 tons of candy that was dropped by air to the kids in Germany. Okay? Now, this is really important. There are a number of authors, include Andre Cherny, some papers that were written at the Air University with Air War College about the connection between 2 sticks of gum with Gail at the fence in 1948 to Ronald Reagan standing at the Brandenburg Gate saying, Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall. That occurrence would have been very difficult outside of this context. Okay. After the airlift, Air Force comes and says, dude, we love you. Would you like to stay? Absolutely, it's a great job. I mean, beats hauling beats, right?
Anything beats hauling beats, I've done that.
That's right. So, Air Force says, hey, you need to go get a college degree. Okay. So they give him 4 years of tuition. There was actually AFIT, Armed Forces Institute of Technology. That's where the paycheck was coming from. So they sent him to University of Florida to get a bachelor's degree in aeronautical engineering. Well, he finishes that degree in 2.5 years and comes back to the Air Force and says, okay, I got my bachelor's degree, I'm ready. And they said, no. You have to be there for 4 years. You've already scheduled the plan. Well, what do I do for a 1.5 years? That's your problem. We're paying for your tuition. So he went and got a master's in aeronautical engineering, but he specialized in a very unusual. Go away. What is that?
I don't know. It doesn't matter.
Okay, doesn't matter. Okay. So he gets a master's degree in aeronautical engineering, but he specializes in space systems. Now that's a pretty unusual field for 1950. But he doesn't. And then he also does what everybody else did when they were coming home from World War II. He got married. Married a girl that he met at
Utah State,
yes, the Aggies. Something about ice cream.
100th anniversary this year. Come visit us.
Yeah. So, okay. Gets married, gets his education next life. So he goes into space and missiles. Well, okay, what did he do? Titan family of missiles. Gail Halvorsen was one of the lead engineers on developing the first part of the Titan system, which was basically our first intercontinental ballistic missile. Later, he got involved in something that's kind of a weird name, but actually it's kind of cool. It's called the Dinosaur. Okay, not like, Tyrannosaurus Rex or something like that. But basically what they were looking at was a reusable lifting body that they could put into space, and dynamically it could bounce off of the atmosphere and stay in orbit. and then come back and land at a predetermined place. Huh?
Precursor. Sounds like a station.
Exactly. So the Air Force, thanks to Robert McNamara, ditched this program. And the Air Force dutifully put the blueprints on the shelf. And then NASA came by and said, we have a copy of that. And so basically, Gail Halvorsen was working on something that was precursor to the space shuttle. Okay. During the height of the Cold War in the early 70s, a lot of tension along the Iron Curtain, and the Germans said, we need somebody that we know and we trust to be in Berlin. So people sitting, enjoying his business as a launch center director at Vandenberg Air Force Base on San Jose, California. And 6 weeks later, he's in Berlin as the commander of Air Force activities in Tempelhof and winds up being the U.S. military representative to the government of Berlin. Okay. Retires. Great lover of the outdoors. He loved hunting, fishing, and stuff like that. Was the dean of students at a university a little south of here, another blue university, and collected students, one of which was, wow, next slide. Okay. So he retires from BYU, goes on a mission for the LDS Church, actually two of them, one to England, makes sense. Second was to St. Petersburg, Russia. They were very nervous about their assignment to St. Petersburg because they always had somebody that was following them. Wherever they left their apartment, they had to fail. And this was after the Soviet Union had dissolved, but they still knew who he was, and the Russian security force kind of kept real close tabs on him. You see, this was in Albania in 1989, excuse me, where he had gone, no, it's 99. He'd gone to Eastern Europe because of the fighting that was going on in the former Yugoslavian nation. And they were flying relief missions out of Albania. Here's Gail Halvorsen, which at this point, you know, he's in his late 70s. He's flying around in a Chinook, delivering stuff. Okay? All right. Gail always had this focus of working with kids. Okay? So we see some of these people you might recognize, that one. They're still in civil air patrol death. But Gail always made time for stuff. A couple of weeks before he passed, he was still giving virtual presentations over Zoom or Teams or something like that with students all over the country. Okay, so what's the connection here? So Gail joined Civil Air Patrol in late December 1941. He answered a newspaper ad that was in the evening Deseret News, little thing, pilots wanted. And so this is how he got started in Civil Air Patrol. Basically, he maintained his connection with Civil Air Patrol for many years. So a group of us were kind of dealing with the problem. So what's the problem that we have with aviation in Utah? Hangars. Hangars. You can't, one, you can't fly them. And two, if you don't have one and you have to get an aircraft, a small aircraft, off the ground, you're in trouble because you're going to have to wait a couple hours for the sun to come up and get the frost up. So a group of us in Phantom Squadron kind of were figuring how do we get a hangar? And so we kind of focused on the idea, well, let's think a little outside the box here. What are the missions of Civil Air Patrol? Well, they're cadet programs, aerospace education, emergency services. Okay. So how about if we pitch this idea that we're going to use this hangar to be able to support those missions? That seems to make sense. Didn't quite resonate until we tied it to somebody. So we approached one of the older members of Civil Air Patrol in Utah and said, how about if we form an organization and we do this? Aerospace education, cadet programs, emergency services. I'm all over it. Let's do it. So we made some decisions and decided to go with a private foundation, separate from, but affiliated with Civil Air Patrol, to be able to allow us to do certain things. Okay? So we made bylaws, we developed a mission statement and a business plan. We incorporated in the state of Utah so that we're a recognized legal entity and it gets the liability off my neck. Went to the IRS and went like greased lightning getting a 501c3 determination. Normally that takes about 3 or 4 months. We have it back in 3 weeks. That's fast. Okay. With that, then we could go to the state and say, we're a charitable organization. We'd like to have a charitable solicitation license to be able to solicit donations. And always get that. So we had some, agreements and arrangements with some folks, and we're able to start moving forward. So we wanted to have a facility that would do a number of different things. We wanted area for Civil Air Patrol. Okay? We wanted some area where we could tell Gail's story. We wanted some area where we could have some gathering kind of stuff. This is the first floor. The upper floor, we wanted to be able to have area for community gathering, for STEM experiences, bring in school kids from the area, to bring them to the airport and make the airport an integral part of the community, as opposed to that noisy thing down there. They're always flying over my house and scaring my chickens. Okay. Next slide. So, one of the best phone calls that Paul's made so far, Paul Jensen has been working with this, if you remember, Captain Squadron, called a guy named Dan Valls. Cold call. I want to talk to you about this project idea that we have, these guys for architect. Sure, come on down. Turns out he was a Gail fan. Yeah, I'll help you on this. In fact, I'll help you so much, I'll donate all of my work to design this. And so basically, we chose an Art Deco design that harkens back to a classic era in aviation. That era when Gail learned how to fly. You just kind of come out of the open cockpit area kind of stuff. Now, if you step back and look at this, does this kind of look a little bit like the terminal in Casablanca? Yeah, okay.
I was thinking Long Beach,
Huh?
I was thinking Long Beach, but.
Long Beach is done. And Houston, okay. Dan Val's a tremendous artist and a brilliant architect. So he slammed this together and says, yeah, let's do this. Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's only one problem, money.
Well, we're getting to that. So this is the interior. This is the entry hall that we're now going to be calling the Hall of Heroes because we're going to have some other stuff that's in here about some other flyers. And basically, this features what's called learning stairs. Okay, place where you can bring in kids, have them sit there, and you can, give presentations. You don't see it here, but you can drop a screen from the roof to the ceiling here, be able to project stuff. A university to the south of us, their engineering department is helping model a C-54, a quarter scale C-54 to go up there. Pretty exciting stuff. So this will be at Spanish Fork Airport. Okay, why Spanish Fork? Okay, about 5 miles south of where the airport is. Gail owned the farm. That was his retirement thing. He ran his horses there and reached out the land to grow corn and soybeans and stuff. And he had a Cessna Skymaster that he kept in the hangar right there. So, basically, the city of Spanish Fork was very active in saying, yeah, we'd like you to have a presence here and be able to kind of spruce up the entrance to the airport. So that Art Deco building, which you saw a couple of slides before, is now going to be the welcome mat for Spanish Fork Airport. Now, so as we are making the plans here, we said, you know what? We're going to need some money in the out years. So this is all airport land. What if we get a taxiway that's U-shaped and be able to open this up for development? Went to the city and they said, sure, we'd love that. Well, could we charge people when they hook up here? Absolutely. Okay, so got to have an understanding of where you fit. So this is and I see we need to add a blue school here.
Absolutely.
Okay. But we wind up sitting in a strategic space here. We have great relationships with these school districts. Okay? And so the relationship there is they send students on field trips, after school stuff, weekend things, summer camp, summer day camp kind of thing. This will help us with marketing foundation events. What they get in return is they get increased family readiness and passion and a makerspace kind of an idea. I don't know how many of you know makerspace idea. Okay, so basically 3D printing, hands-on stuff for kids to do, so that they go, this is really cool. So now on this side, so we have these relationships here. They've got all kinds of fun stuff because they need research opportunities, professional development, community engagement. This is a place where they can be seen. Because a lot of times, university flight schools don't get seen very much. Okay, so here's a way that they can be seen. So what do they get out of Halvorsen? And kids are going to be here. They're going to see that there's involvement in these schools, and they're going to say, "Hey, I want to go there." Okay. And then the final product is we're providing a trained STEM workforce for 21st century opportunity. Now, who was it that said money? Bing. Okay. This ain't gonna be cheap. Okay, it's a 15,000 square foot building. So one of our partners, we said, gee, thank you for agreeing to provide in-kind stuff. He said, you want concrete, I'll get you concrete. How about if we build a building out of concrete? Okay, how much do you need? That's like huge. Okay, so this company, I'm sure you've seen their trucks running around. Went to them, Jason, we know that you love the community and stuff, and you guys are all over the place doing things. we want to do this project, but the land that we're sitting on is about 4 feet of chocolate pudding. So he says, all right, how about I give you 2,700 tons of building fill to support Little Clyde's concrete on it? Yeah, that'd be fine. Market price, that's $95,000. Okay. This guy owns an airplane and does a lot of site work kind of stuff. Paul Jensen stopped him once at the pump at Spanish Fork Airport and said, hey, we've got this project and you've got bulldozers and stuff, right? Yeah. Well, here's what the project looks like. Yeah, that's kind of cool. Can you help us? Yeah, I think I can do that. Okay. Somebody donated a bus to us. Well, what are you going to do with a bus? I know, we'll tear all the seats out of it, and we'll put STEM stuff in it, and we'll take it to places like Eureka, Utah, that doesn't have squat up there, and give their kids some opportunities to do things. Okay, who's going to fix the inside of the bus? I know somebody at Duncan Aviation can fix the inside of the bus and help put the wrap on it, and a few other items. Now we've got a local STEM bus. I told you about the architect. This has been bad. Before COVID-19, we had some really good relationships with national level, where's your address?
Top left.
Yeah, national level aerospace firms. And we were just in the process of doing all the legal stuff to get those relationships. And Zippy the Wonder Virus came out. And particularly One Aviation Group started having problems because one of their new products seemed to fall out of the sky. Oh, and by the way, they also would have some problems with a tanker for the airport. And basically that all. So we've re-engaged since Gail passed away. And Boeing has come back and said, okay, we can help a little bit here. Well, Sam Cox, actually, I want you to help a lot. Okay, we'll help a little bit right now. Show us what you can do, and then we'll help you see that. This has taken some persistence in developing these relationships, just as it's taken persistence to move the relationships for education organizations. Next slide. Civil Air Patrol is becoming a much stronger partner in this. And General Felka has recognized that the Halvorsen story not only is a Utah story, not only an Air Force story, but it's a Civil Air Patrol story. And so you've been seeing things in props, and you'll see things in volunteer this month regarding Gail Halvorsen and sending stuff back, referring people back to the Foundation's website. Next slide. So these three organizations have come together, okay? Halvorsen Foundation, Airlift Tanker Association, who views Gail as one of their patron saints, just because. The Airlift Tanker Association is a little bit different than the Red River Fighter Pilots Association. Okay? And I know that because I've been to your things. I'm a Kunsan guy, so. Okay. Much more cerebral and much more professional organization. They've already put $45,000 into help. And they detailed a number of their senior folks to include Mike Cassidy. I don't know, he was a former C-130 guy, but probably in a different, he's a cousin. So Paul Paul Selma. And, he's involved in this kind of stuff. Civil Air Patrol, General Felka said, this is Rick Pallister. Rick Pallister is now your guy. And so these three organizations, we meet every morning at 5:30 on Teams as we're planning and doing stuff. So support him. Okay, so what are we going to do? Friday, May 20th, okay. We've got a C-17 that's coming that's going to be named by the Air Force as the Spirit of the Candy Bomb. So another guy that's coming is Tim Chope, who owns the only flying C-54 in the United States. He and Gail were very close. So there's going to be basically an opportunity for the public to come and see these aircraft. And, oh, by the way, there's going to be a Civil Air Patrol aircraft there too. Okay, naming ceremony that afternoon, Spirit of the Candy Bomber. They'll be presided over the Commander at Air Mobility Command, Mike Minihan. And then that night, celebration of life banquet at the new Provo Airport Terminal, which they're still finishing. And basically being able to use this thing, the city said, this is a great opportunity for us. We can market our new thing. Just come in. You bring your stuff, just come in. And you don't have to rent anything. You don't have to. So I'd say it's $30,000 right there. Okay. Next day, okay, DD brunch at Quiet Meadow Farm in Mapleton, and an opportunity for the Air Force leadership and Civil Air Patrol leadership, because I believe General Felk is going to be attending this, to be able to interface with state level political leaders, local industry folks, educators. Great opportunity for mixing and mingling stuff. While that's happening, there'll be static displays and stuff going on over at Spanish Fork Airport, prominently featuring Civil Air Patrol. And then we'll have groundbreaking ceremony for the Halvorsen Heritage. Following that, formation flight with the C-17, the C-54, kind of a heritage flight thing. Then they will do a commemorative candy drop. Okay, why am I telling you all this stuff? We're going to need some help. You go back a couple of slides, the thing about day of service, this is one of the ways how we can do this. Excellent. Okay, sound like cool stuff? Yeah. Why can't we do this in the Scipio Senior Squad? Well, for one reason, it doesn't exist. But, okay. Now, Civil Air CAP stands for two things, right? One is coming to pay. The other one's Civil Air Patrol. Yeah, and it can get kind of touchy, you know, with, hey, we got to pay the hangar rental again, and can you guys come up with that's okay. Can you have a squadron self-fund and not dip into squadron members' wallets every 3 months? And the answer to that question, yes, you can do it. So what you have to be able to do is be able to define and articulate the need. Okay? What is the value that the Scipio Senior Squadron is bringing to the table? And I guarantee you, if you bring one of your shining cadets and stand them up in front of the city council and say, this is what the Civil Air Patrol cadet program produces, you're going to have the attention, like black, of the mayor and the city council. And they're all of a sudden, from being ambivalent, they're going to become supporters. How important is that? Well, it's huge. Okay. Who's another key political person locally that you need to speak to? Who is the most powerful local elected official in the state of Utah? Mayor. the county sheriff. Okay? So, I didn't really, I mean, mayors come and go. But those sheriffs, man, they are embedded and they are very well connected. You need to have this discussion with them. Civil Air Patrol needs to talk to those county sheriffs anyway. But not for the reason that we think. We need him as an ally, as an advocate, not as, yeah, we can use him as a customer, but we'll talk about that later on today. You need to have some sort of a plan. What are you trying to accomplish? What are the milestones? What are the deliverables? When? So what's your product? Okay? If your product is shiny cadets, leverage it. Okay? If your product is community service and engagement and cohesion, market that. Okay? Identify who your customers are. Okay? Yeah, we're a nonprofit. Do we have products? Dang tootin' we do. Yeah, absolutely. Okay? And so you need to be able to say, here's our product, and here's the folks that benefit from it. It might be parents. Might be the schools. Oh. You need to know your community. Okay? How are you going to measure your success? You need to be able to tell them, here's what we're going to do. We're going to measure volunteer hours. We're going to measure numbers of cadets doing something. What? Encampment? Sure, why not? Going college? Sure, why not? Okay. This is a key piece. Identify your allies. Because there are folks that are out there who are very well connected, who are well resourced, who have an interest in the same things that we do in Civil Air Patrol. When you come to somebody who owns a business and say, I can help you find workers, people to make your business a success by bringing you guys back and gals back there. Did you have their attention? Absolutely. Next slide. Okay. We chose to go with being a private group. I'll tell you the reasons behind that. Okay. But you can do all of what we just talked about under Civil Air Patrol as well. Okay. There are benefits of doing that. Okay. Civil Air Patrol has got very, very strong financial controls. It's very difficult to commit a misfeasance or malfeasance with funds that go through Civil Air Patrol. Because there are a lot of layers that go through to keep track. Very clear guidance. There are two. If you're going to do this, you need to have these two memorized, and then know the chair of the Wayne Finance Committee really well. Single point banking. You can see exactly where stuff is. Civil Air Patrol has got a tremendous reputation for transparency and for capability in handling donated funds. Civil Air Patrol is one of the very, very few organizations that have the highest rating from the Better Business Bureau, GuideStar, and Charity Navigator at the same time. Almost unheard of. Benefits of a private group. One, it gives you flexibility. One of the things that you have to do, if you're going to spend more than $1,500 on something in Civil Air Patrol, where's the decision made? National, yeah. Yeah. Okay. So if you're going to build something, it's hard to break up a $5 million project into $1,499 bites. Okay. So you'd be running the national all the time trying to get. Okay. So what you need to do is you need to develop your own financial controls. And you can base it on stuff that Civil Air Patrol does. Or you can go to these groups here and say, what's your best practice? download their PDF, search, replace, done. Okay? Less restrictions on the ask. Here you kind of have to be careful about how you ask for money. Here, you need to be ethical, but you can accept things that would be difficult to use over here, for example, in-kind donations. You know, having 2,700 tons of building fill dumped on the ramp behind wing headquarters would probably not go over very well with PSA or the wing committee. This has a little bit more of a community feel because when you put your group together, you make sure that you get some of these allies that I've talked about and you put them on your board. And they may not be wearing the uniform, but they're your allies. And they can represent both the community and the organization. That completes the formal portion of my briefing. What questions do y'all have?
Colonel, have we looked at, we've got all these school kids coming in to that building.
Say again?
We've got all these school kids coming into that center.
Mm-hmm.
We've got CAP stuff hanging on the wall and stuff like that. We looked at in any way what that's going to do to the size of the local squadron.
I can only do.
Well, I can't do it. I'm just wondering.
So why not have 3 or 4 squadrons in league like that? Why not?
Why not? Okay. Well,
Okay.
There comes a point in time where you have to break it up.
Yeah.
let's
Let's go get it, man. That's the future.
Yeah.
So let's go get it.
I just wondered if there had been any thought put into that.
Yes.
Okay, all right,
You look at the calendar, we have Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays.
okay.
There are 3 squadrons right there. Okay. Any other questions, sir?
You want that video?
Are there any other questions? Okay, I'm going to show you a video that was produced by an Air Force guy with assistance from Civil Air Patrol, guided by Airlift Tanker Association on behalf of the Halvorsen Foundation. Here.
We're talking about Gail because he went beyond the call of duty. He did more than what was expected of him. He came from hope. And that has inspired generations of people throughout the world.
We are continuing Colonel Gail Halvorsen's legacy of attitude, gratitude, and service before self. During the Operation Vittles in 1948 and 49, Colonel Halvorsen's act of kindness started with 2 sticks of gum and turned into Operation Little Vills during the Berlin airlift. Gail Halvorsen demonstrated the impact acts of kindness can have, where 2 sticks of chewing gum were followed by 46,000 pounds of candy and helped make friends out of former enemies. One of Colonel Halvorsen's lessons for life is, out of small things, big things can come. Today, small things can continue his legacy of hope and help provide comfort to those in need. Will you help us forge the next generation of candy bombers?
What do you want to do? Okay. Out of small things come great things. Those conversations that you have after squadron meeting about, "Dang it, why don't we have out of small things come great things?" You're limited only by your imagination. Things you've got to do. So thank you for your attention. And please, if you didn't get a card about the event, I just happened to bring some next. Yeah, the information